Please enjoy this audio recording from BodyMind Living magazine.
I told you that I was going to be writing about navigating change.
Yeah.
And you were super excited about it.
Yeah.
So I am really curious to hear what navigating change means and looks like for you. How do you navigate change that comes up in your life? And you give examples if there's times where there's some change and sort of how you dealt with it or whatever feels good for you.
Okay. To me, navigating change is being able to let change flow through you versus it being a wall, have it be water versus being like rock. So it can flow through you instead of stopping you, and then you have to knock it down, just allowing yourself to have the change flow through you instead of you having to knock it down before being able to continue.
So like water versus a rock. So you said like a rock would stop you and keep you stuck. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
And for you,
or making you take like a detour, being able to ignore it.
Like go around change instead of sort of
like
through
go
it.
around change and then bypass it until another rock comes instead of just letting it flow through.
Interesting. So what does that look like for you, or how do you go about it in your own life, sort of allowing it to change through, or not to change, to flow through you versus be stopped by the rock or go around it?
I really don't. I'm more of the rock and going around it, but I'm trying to work on having it be more water.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you feel like now you're more of the rock. So what happens now for you when change comes your way? Like, how do you feel about it?
I don't like change.
You don't?
I like my set routine. I like my dinner at a certain time. I like certain things. Like I go into school and I always have the same mask. Like I have my Thursday mask and my Friday mask.
So you really, it sounds almost
I like a routine.
Almost like a ritual.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't like when plans change or at the last minute where it's actually I can't do this, or we need to change this.
So you don't like when plans change at the last minute?
No.
How do you feel about change that you have warning about?
I'm still not a huge fan, but depending on the amount of time, by the time it comes, I've come to terms with it. But
you sort of go with it, but you still don't really like it.
Yeah.
Is there ever been a time when there's been some change that comes that does resonate with you, or changes that afterwards you think oh, that was really great, or does it always feel sort of sticky and complicated?
No. I think there have been a few times when change it hasn't resonated with me, but if I ask for the change, if I think it'll help me, I notice it works.
So if it's change,
if change is put on me, I'm not as big of a fan. But if I'm I need a change, I need to get out of town, I need to stop being partners, I need this time, I notice it feels better for me than if change is hey, guess what? We were gonna do this, but at the last minute we couldn't. No.
I totally feel that. I have described that sometimes as sometimes change feels like a slap in the face. Right? It's like a sting, like a slap in the face. Not that I don't think you've ever had a slap in the face, but what do you think, or how do you feel that change could feel lighter or easier or less yucky for you? It doesn't mean that it won't still feel those things, but they could lessen it.
Probably having a weekend where change is like what we do. It's like we have something and then we like switch it up or whatever. Like practice non-critical change.
Oh, so almost like change practice.
Yeah.
You feel like practicing change, it sounds like in smaller ways,
Yeah.
would help it flow and feel easier.
Yeah.
With bigger change.
Yeah.
What do you feel like at this point in your life, the easiest change that's come your way has been?
Definitely the changes where I'm the one who asks for it.
Can you think of an example?
Yeah, like I was working on a project with someone and they weren't doing their part. So I asked my teacher if I could like switch and he said yeah, and I found that pretty easy to like ask because it was so aggravating for me.
So you found it easy to ask.
And I found the change easy to go from working with him to just finishing it all on my own.
It sounds like before you asked, you got to a point of major aggravation.
Yeah.
So that change then maybe came from a place of what? Frustration?
Yeah.
Or something?
Frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you notice or feel like your friends, other teenagers have similar sort of experiences with change? Or do you feel like yours is unique to you?
I do think there are some people who have similar, but I feel like everyone's change is unique to them since everyone has their own personality and everyone has whatever is the change is coming from, reason for it. So I think everyone deals with it differently, but I think there are some like similar, like broad change things like divorce or moving or whatever, like lots of
Like change events?
like change events that people go through, but I think the specifics are unique to that person.
Do you ever talk with any of your friends
No.
about changes in your life?
No.
Do you think that any teenagers ever talk with like their friends about the changes in their life?
No. I don't think teenagers are at the mental state to be able to come in with themselves. Because I don't think most adults are, let alone kids.
Like to be that in touch with themselves, is that what you mean by coming with themselves?
Like to be that in touch with themselves that they can truly like open up about change.
Interesting.
Because basically teenagers are a bunch of hormone brain soup.
Hormone brain soup. If you're dealing with some kind of change, whether it be small or large, how would you as a teenager want your parents or friends or other adults in your life to like best support you and be there for you?
I feel like just be like an open space where you can talk and just kind of like not even like respond, just talk at them and then for not take it personally.
You said if they scream or something, do you
Like
mean?
if like the person who's dealing with some of the change screams or something, like the teenager, like the parent to just give the open like space, and if they scream at them, it's not personal. It's just like it's like the human punching bag for your anger and
like a release of the emotions.
Yeah.
So it sounds like I guess what would your advice be to adults then in that? Sounds like don't take it personally.
It's the biggest one.
And hold space. That's a term that I hear sometimes. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Just sort of be there, listening to listen, not to respond.
Yeah.
And do you want suggestions?
I mean, after you get some of like the anger or the emotional relief out, give it, I would say, like a day. Like if it's in like the morning, give it till like the next day. If it's in the evening, give it till the next day for them to like deal, like this is for the parent to just like come in with like what's to allow the teen to come in with how they feel, and then you might be able to give suggestions, but ask them if they want suggestions.
So as the parent, adult, teacher, caregiver, whoever,
as a support person.
That's true, because even friends, right? As a support person. So if you were going to have, like, I don't know, your 3 or 4 or 5 rules, whatever, for a support person around change to support you, or we'll say a teenager or anybody through change, what would your rules or tips or however you want to call it be?
One, and most importantly, be present and be there to listen, to like understand, to like support them, but don't be there to respond. 2 would be give them time after their emotional relief to just like calm down, since it is exhausting. And if they ask for a suggestion, wait a day to give them the suggestion, so that they're more like they're not just on the adrenaline brain still, so they can like fully hear it. 3, actually 1, I would say 3 would be don't take it personally. Like that's like the most important, is it's not about you if they seem off. Like 4, I would say don't just give them suggestions right off the bat, but like ask if they want suggestions. And 5, I would say maybe invite them.
What would that look like?
I don't know, like not say, maybe like if you know them well, like notice if they seem off and say, hey, are you okay? Is there anything you want to talk about? Like kind of planting the scene, and if they say not right now or no, it'll still be in their head. And then when the emotional release happens, I can speak from experience, where I say no, and then the next day I'm like, yeah, and I have one of the emotional like outbursts. And so I would say just invite them if they seem off, and if they say no, don't push it on them. Just plant the seed, but don't force it.
So in the moment, plant the seed, but don't force it in the moment.
And
I kind of get from that, be open to if and when if that changes.
Like don't take the no as a permanent no. Take the no as I'm not ready yet, or I'm not really feeling it, or I'm just too upset, or whatever. So basically, if they say no, don't be like, well, it's not gonna happen. Be open to it, but don't be forcing it.
That feels like really good advice for any age. What do you feel like you're willing to share, like what one of the hardest changes has been?
Probably changing from living in one house and seeing both of my parents at once to moving back and forth between places.
Yeah, that's a big change. That's a really big change. That was a really big change for all of us. And it's one of those where even when you know that you're not alone in that change, it's not an uncommon change. For me, it was really disruptive. And I imagine so for you as well. Was there anything that has made that feel better or feel more challenging?
Probably just getting used to it.
If somebody said to you, how do you navigate change? Not just like how change feels, but like how you yourself like navigate it, kind of work your way through change, deal with change. What might you tell them?
Ooh, that's hard. That's a good question. Maybe for me, what I do when I navigate change, like it's time, it's usually what I have. Like if it's like change told before, time is how I navigate the change, is like using time, letting it sit with me. Sometimes I write about it. But it's mostly just let it wait.
You just kind of sit with it?
Sit with it.
Do you have any tools that you use to deal with it? You said writing sometimes.
reading. I sometimes go for walks. It's like a really hard change. I like go for a walk.
Yeah.
Try to write about it. I like long showers, help with that.
I feel like you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
Long showers seem to be a place for kind of thought and relaxation for a lot of people that I know.
Yeah.
If you were going to share like your favorite thing about change,
What would I say?
yeah, what would it be?
I feel like with change, the change might seem like a dark tunnel, but usually at the end of it, there's a bigger amount of light. Like, I feel like change allows for more to come to you.
So even when it feels like a dark tunnel during it.
At the end, there's more light than there was at the beginning.
Nice. Is there anything else about change that you would like to share right now?
Not that I can think of now.
Awesome. Thanks for talking to me about change.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me.